They told her to strip off the uniform, called her a fraud, a liar. Some lost civilian playing dress-up at America's most elite special operations base. The phones came out. The laughter started. She didn't argue. She didn't beg. She just unbuttoned her jacket, let it fall, and turned around. That's when Fort Thunder went dead silent. That's when they saw the skull. The 12 red stars. The words that made grown soldiers drop to their knees, Death Brigade, sole survivor. Before we go further, if you want to hear how this woman went from being mocked to commanding the respect of an entire military base, hit that subscribe button right now. Drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I want to see how far Emma's story travels across this country. Now, let's go back to where it all started. Emma Hayes walked through the front gate at 0800 hours. Her hands shook. They always did now. The MP glanced at her visitor's pass. "Ma'am, contractors check in at Building 7. "I'm not a contractor." "Then you're lost." He handed back her ID without reading it. "VA office is in Tucson." Emma took the ID, kept walking. Behind her. "Another one? Jesus. 3rd this month." She'd heard worse. Survived worse. The training yard was chaos. Recruits running obstacles, instructors screaming, someone firing live rounds on the range. Emma moved through it like smoke. Then Lieutenant Jake Morrison spotted her. "Hey, hey!" Emma stopped. Jake crossed the yard in 8 strides. 6'3", 26. Perfect uniform. Perfect posture. Perfect record. Behind him, 5 soldiers followed like a pack. "This is restricted," Jake said. "Who are you?" "Emma Hayes. I have authorization." Jake laughed, looked back at his crew. They laughed too. "Authorization." He stepped closer. "Lady, turn around, and—" He stopped, stared at what she wore. Old BDU pattern. Faded. No insignia except one patch on her shoulder. Black skull. Roman numeral 2. Jake's face went from amused to furious. "Are you serious right now?" His voice dropped. "Where'd you get that uniform? It's mine." "Bullshit. You're wearing military dress without authorization. That's stolen valor." "I'm authorized." "Like hell." Jake pulled out his phone. "Ramirez, you recording?" A soldier lifted his phone. "Got it, LT." "Good." Jake turned back. "Take off that uniform, right now. Then you explain to security why you're impersonating a soldier." Emma's jaw tightened. "I'm not impersonating anyone." "That patch says 2nd Special Operations. You expect me to believe you served SOC-2. I don't expect you to believe anything." "Damn right." Jake loomed over her. "Take it off." Emma met his eyes. Her hands shook worse. "You sure about this? Now?" Emma reached up, started unbuttoning her jacket. Jake smirked. Behind him, phones came out. Soldiers murmured, already planning the story. Another fake. Another wannabe. Emma pulled the jacket off her shoulders. Gray tank top underneath. That's when they saw her back. The tattoo covered her shoulder blades. Black skull. Roman numeral 2. Professional work. Expensive. Painful. But the skull wasn't what froze them. It was the words Death Brigade sole survivor. 12 red stars circling it. Not 13. 12. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Then Master Sergeant Victor Vulov dropped to one knee. Victor was 52. Built like a mountain. Face like carved stone. Spetsnaz trained. 3 Afghanistan tours. 2 Iraq. 5 years teaching NATO's best killers how to kill better. He knelt in the dirt, eyes locked on Emma's back, face drained white. "Death Brigade," he whispered. "Bože moi, Hellgate." Jake stared. "Sergeant what? Shut your mouth, Lieutenant." Victor's voice cut like a blade. He didn't look at Jake. Couldn't take his eyes off Emma. "Sergeant, I don't—" "Operation Hellgate, 2020. 13 soldiers. Black Op, no support. No extraction. No records." Victor's voice cracked. "One came back." Emma turned around. Scars on her front, too. Bullet wound over her collarbone. Another along her ribs. Third near her hip. Surgery scars. Shrapnel scars. Horror stories written in flesh. Jake's phone was still recording. Emma looked directly into the camera. "My name is Major Emma Hayes. Service number 847 Golf Oscar 7. Ghost 7 Death Brigade Tactical Unit. October 19th, 2020. My team stopped 3 dirty bombs. Los Angeles, Chicago, New York." She paused. 13 went in. I came out. Silence. Victor shook. "They said you were dead." "Pentagon declared me KIA. Easier than explaining why they sent 13 into a meat grinder with no backup. Easier than admitting the mission existed." Jake's hand lowered. Phone still recording. He'd forgotten about it. I didn't know." "You didn't know." Emma picked up her jacket, started buttoning it. "Nobody does. That's the point." She met his eyes. "But you called me a fake lieutenant, told me to strip, recorded me like some stolen valor case you could shame online for your followers." Jake's mouth opened. Nothing came out. "Want to know why I'm here?" Emma finished the last button. "They're forming Death Brigade 14. Someone has to choose the next 13. She looked around at the frozen soldiers. "Apparently you people forgot what this uniform costs." She turned, walked toward the command building. Nobody followed. Nobody moved. Victor stayed on his feet, hands shaking. He looked at Jake with something between pity and disgust. "You just humiliated a living legend. Recorded it. Now you live with that." Jake stood there, phone in hand, watching Emma disappear. Ramirez lowered his phone. "LT, should I delete it?" Jake didn't answer. Behind them, more soldiers had gathered. Word spreading. Phones out. Shocked faces. Private Maria Santos pushed through the crowd. 23, tactical prodigy. Tactical. 2 bronze stars. She stared at Emma's back as she walked away. "Holy shit," Maria breathed. "That's Ghost 7. "Who?" someone asked. "Death Brigade survivor. I read about it in classified briefings. Thought it was bullshit. Urban legend." Maria's voice shook. 13 went in to stop dirty bombs. 12 died. The survivor disappeared. Pentagon said she was KIA, but..." She trailed off. "Some say she walked out with half her body held together by staples and pure hate." Corporal Devon Chen, 28 former Marine Raider, shook his head. "Death Brigade missions are one-way tickets. You go in knowing you're dead. You hold the line until the job's done. Average survival rate is 15%. "Hers was 7%, Victor said quietly. "Just her. Just Ghost 7. The crowd was silent. Jake finally moved. Walked away. Fast. Like something was chasing him. It was. Shame. Inside the command building, Colonel Richard Patterson's phone buzzed. "Text from Victor Death Brigade is back. Survivor just walked in. You need to see this now." Patterson frowned. Death Brigade. He knew the name. Barely. Classified above his clearance. Black ops so dark they didn't cast shadows. Rumors. 13 soldiers, impossible missions, no survivors. Except one. He stood. Walked to the front office. Emma sat in a chair. Small. Tired. Like someone's aunt who'd wandered in by mistake. But her eyes were different. They held something Patterson recognized from bad mornings in his own mirror, someone who'd seen the bottom and climbed back out. Major Hayes? Emma stood. Colonel. ID, now. Emma placed 3 things on his desk. Military ID, black border, red text, GO7 classification. Patterson had seen those twice in his career. They meant don't ask questions, challenge coin, black metal, blood red skull, 12 stars, backside Death Brigade, Hellgate, 2020, orders, stamped with the seal he didn't recognize and a signature he absolutely did. General Marcus Hale, JSOC. Patterson read the orders. Twice. You're here to evaluate personnel for a new Death Brigade unit. Correct. Death Brigade units are one-way missions. 13 volunteers. Hold the line until the job's done, or reinforcements arrive. Patterson's voice was careful. Average survival is 15%. For most units, Emma said. Mine was 7. Patterson set down the orders. You were the only one. Yes. Now you're choosing 13 more. Yes. Why you? Emma's hands trembled. She didn't hide it. Because someone has to. Because I know what it costs. Because I know what happens when you send soldiers into hell unprepared. She held his gaze. Because the people who order these missions don't watch their teams die. I do. Patterson studied her. Your orders say I give you full access. All personnel files. Complete authority over training. Correct. Also says I can't ask about the mission. You wouldn't want to know? Patterson nodded. One of my lieutenants just tried to arrest you for stolen valor. I know. He recorded it, demanded you strip. I know. What do you want me to do? Emma stood. Nothing. He questioned someone who didn't look right. He was wrong, but not malicious. She picked up her ID. Besides, the test already started, Colonel. Every soldier here's been evaluated since I walked through that gate. Patterson raised an eyebrow. Evaluated for what? Whether they see past appearance, whether they judge capability or costume, whether they panic when they're wrong. Emma moved to the door. Morrison failed part 1. Let's see if he learns. If he doesn't, Emma paused. Then he's the type who gets his whole team killed, and I won't choose him. She left. Patterson stood there, looking at the challenge coin. 12 red stars. 1 survivor. He picked up his phone. General Hale Patterson at Fort Thunder. We have a situation, Sergeant. The story exploded through Fort Thunder like a flashbang. By 1500, every soldier knew about Morrison's mistake. By 1600, they knew Emma's name. By 1700, those with clearance had confirmed the impossible. Death Brigade was real. 13 went in. 1 came back. Jake sat in his barracks, staring at his phone. 73 seconds. Him demanding Emma strip, mocking her, calling her fake. 73 seconds of career-ending footage. His phone buzzed. Text from his CO. My office. 1800. Don't be late. Jake closed his eyes. Officers' mess hall. Victor sat with 3 senior NCOs, coffee going cold. Master Sergeant Chen broke the silence. Death Brigade. Thought that was ghost story bullshit. It was, Victor said. Until today. She really the only one? Hellgate was hell. 3 dirty bombs, sold to terrorists by a rogue state. Simultaneous detonations planned for 3 cities. Death Brigade went in with bad intel, no backup 12-hour window. Victor paused. They held 16 hours, neutralized all 3. 12 died doing it. Staff Sergeant Williams whistled low. And now she's picking 13 more. That's insane, Chen said. That's duty, Victor replied. Williams shook his head. Who volunteers for that? Who signs up knowing they're dead? Someone who understands what's at stake. Victor looked at him. Someone who'd rather die holding the line than live knowing they didn't. That's not bravery, Chen said. That's suicide. No. Victor's voice went hard. Suicide is selfish. This is sacrifice. There's a difference. Silence. Then Williams. You think Morrison's done? Depends, Victor said. Some men break when they realize what they are. Others break through and become something better. Which one's he? We'll see. Emma sat in her assigned office. Personnel files stacked on the desk. 473 active soldiers at Fort Thunder. Most wouldn't qualify. Death Brigade wasn't about strength or speed. It was about continuing when everything inside screamed stop. About choosing to hold when retreat was possible. About dying so others could live. Not many had that. Emma's team had. 12 soldiers walked into hell knowing the odds. Did it anyway. She owed them 13 more. Her hands shook as she opened the first file. She ignored the tremor. Always did. First file, Lieutenant Jake Morrison, Harvard ROTC, Ranger School honor grad. 3 deployments, 0 casualties under his command, exemplary record. Also arrogant, untested in real failure. Jumped to conclusions. Public humiliation of a superior officer. Emma made notes, flagged the file. Not because he earned it, because he needed to understand what he'd judged. Second file, Private Maria Santos, 23. Enlisted at 18. 2 Bronze Stars. Expert marksman. Tactical prodigy. Recommended for officer training. Declined twice. Notes. Prefers ground-level work. Says leadership means watching people die for your decisions. Not ready for that weight. Emma circled that line. Made a note. Interview. Third file. Corporal Devin Chen, 28. Former Marine Raider. Dishonorable discharge overturned on appeal. Details classified. Rebuilt career from scratch. Now Fort Thunder's best hand-to-hand instructor. Notes from Psych Eval. Carries significant guilt. Highly capable but self-punishing. Seeks redemption through service. Emma flagged it. Fourth file. Specialist Jessica Stone, 25. Social media influencer before enlisting. 2 million followers. Joined after her brother died in Kabul. Family tried to talk her out of it. She went anyway. Notes. Struggles with transition from public persona to soldier identity. Competent but questions purpose. Needs mission with meaning. Emma paused on that one. Made notes. Fifth file. Sergeant First Class Marcus Webb, 34. 15 years in. 4 tours. Silver Star. Purple Heart. Recently passed over for promotion 3rd time. Notes. Too aggressive in combat. Makes risky decisions. Effective but dangerous. Command concerned about judgment under pressure. Emma circled that, wrote exactly what we need. Interview. She worked through the night. By 0200, she'd reviewed 97 files. By 0400, she'd narrowed to 47 possibles. By 0600, 19 were flagged for immediate evaluation. She stood, body aching. Always aching now. Walked to the window, sun rising over the desert. Somewhere out there, soldiers were waking up, getting ready for another day of training, thinking they understood what service meant. They didn't. But they would. Emma would make sure of it. Jake Morrison didn't sleep. He sat on his bunk, replaying the encounter, over and over, the confidence in his voice, the certainty, the phone's recording, the moment he saw her back, the skull, the stars, the words, Victor dropping to his knees, Emma's voice, 13 went in, I came out. Jake felt sick. His phone buzzed. Message from Ramirez LT, the video's everywhere. Someone leaked it. Command's pissed. You good? Jake didn't respond. Another message. This one from his father. Retired Colonel Morrison, 3-star general track before he medically retired. Son, I'm hearing things. Call me, now. Jake turned off his phone. 6:30, time for formation. He stood. Put on his uniform. Hands shaking. Not from fear. From knowing he'd become exactly what he hated, someone who judged without understanding. He walked to the training yard. Everyone stared. Nobody spoke. He took his position. Waited for the commander. Instead, Emma walked out. She wore her full uniform now. Ribbons on her chest. More than Jake had ever seen on one person. Purple heart with 2 oak leaf clusters. Silver star. Bronze star with valor. Combat action badge. And at the top, Medal of Honor. Jake's stomach dropped. Medal of Honor. She was a Medal of Honor recipient, and he'd told her to strip. Emma walked to the center of the formation. My name is Major Emma Hayes. Some of you met me yesterday. Some of you recorded me. All of you judged me. Her voice carried across the yard. That's fine. Judgment keeps you alive. But judgment without context gets people killed. She turned slowly, making eye contact with soldiers. I'm here to form Death Brigade 14, 13 volunteers. One-way mission. You go in knowing you're not coming out. You hold the line until the job's done. That's it. No glory, no medals, no recognition. Just duty. Silence. Over the next 6 weeks, you'll be evaluated. Not on strength, not on speed, not on how many push-ups you can do. She paused. On whether you can keep going when everything says stop. On whether you'd rather die holding the line than live knowing you ran. On whether you understand what this uniform actually costs. She looked directly at Jake. Some of you will learn. Some won't. Those who do might get chosen. Those who don't. She turned away. You'll live longer. That's not nothing. Emma walked back toward the command building. Behind her, 400 soldiers stood in perfect silence. Then Victor's voice rang out. Attention! The entire formation snapped to attention. Victor saluted Emma's back. One by one, every NCO joined him. Then the officers. Then everyone. 400 soldiers saluting a woman who'd walked through hell and crawled back out. Emma stopped, didn't turn around, just stood there for 5 seconds, then kept walking. The formation held the salute until she was gone. Jake's arm shook, not from holding it up, from understanding what he'd almost destroyed. When they finally dropped salutes, Victor walked to Jake. My office, now. Jake followed. Victor's office was small, Spartan. Photos on the wall of soldiers who didn't come home. Victor sat. Gestured for Jake to sit. Jake remained standing. "Sit down, Lieutenant." Jake sat. Victor studied him for a long moment. "You fucked up." "Yes, Sergeant. You humiliated a Medal of Honor recipient, recorded it, spread it across the base." "Yes, Sergeant." "You called her a fake, demanded she strip, made a spectacle of her in front of junior enlisted." "Yes, Sergeant." Victor leaned forward. "Now tell me why." Jake blinked. Why'd you do it? What made you so certain she was fake?" Jake struggled. "She didn't look like a soldier." "Explain." "Old uniform, trembling hands. She looked..." He trailed off. "Broken?" Victor asked. "I didn't say that." "But you thought it." Victor stood, walked to the photos on his wall. "You saw someone who didn't fit your image of what a soldier looks like. Young, strong, confident, perfect." He turned. "You saw weakness. So you attacked." Jake said nothing. "You know what I saw?" Victor asked. "No, Sergeant." "I saw a woman with trembling hands who walked into a hostile environment anyway. I saw scars on her body and weight in her eyes. I saw someone who'd survived something I couldn't imagine." Victor moved closer. "I saw strength you didn't recognize because you've never needed that kind of strength." Jake's jaw tightened. "You've had 3 deployments, Lieutenant. 0 casualties. Exemplary record. You know why? Good leadership. Luck." Victor's voice was hard. "You've never had to choose who lives and dies. Never had to watch your team bleed out while you kept fighting. Never had to walk out alone and face the families." He paused. "Emma has. 12 times." Silence. "She's flagged you for evaluation," Victor said. Jake's head snapped up. "What?" "You're on her list. 19 soldiers being considered for Death Brigade 14. "Why? After what I..." "Because she wants to see if you learn." Victor sat back down. "Some men break when they realize what they are. Others break through. She's testing which one you are." Jake stared. "I don't want to be on that list." "Doesn't matter what you want." Victor picked up a file. "You're being evaluated whether you like it or not. And Lieutenant..." He looked up. "I suggest you figure out who you want to be before she makes her final choice. Because if you're selected, you go in knowing you're dead. And if you're not..." He set down the file. "You live with knowing you couldn't measure up." Jake stood. Saluted. Left. Walking back across the yard, he felt eyes on him. Everyone knew. Everyone had seen. He'd become the cautionary tale. The officer who judged Ghost 7 and learned too late what that meant. His phone buzzed again. Message from an unknown number interview. 1400 hours. Building 12. Room 7. Don't be late. Major Hayes. Jake stared at the message. Then he started walking. He had 6 hours to figure out who he wanted to be. The clock was ticking. And for the first time in his perfect career, Jake Morrison wasn't sure he'd pass the test. Jake stood outside Building 12 at 13:55 hours. 5 minutes early. His uniform was perfect. His hands were steady. His mind was chaos. Room 7 was at the end of a long hallway. Door closed. No window. He knocked at exactly 1400. "Come in." Emma sat behind a metal desk, 2 chairs facing her, file folder closed in front of her, coffee cup half empty. She looked tired. "Sit." Jake sat. Emma didn't open the file. Just looked at him. "Why are you here, Lieutenant?" "You sent for me, ma'am." That's not what I asked. Jake shifted. You're evaluating personnel for, why are you here? Emma's voice was quiet. After what happened yesterday. After you humiliated me. Recorded it. Why would you walk into this room? Jake met her eyes. Because you ordered me to. I don't give orders to soldiers who think I'm a fraud. Emma leaned back. I give them to soldiers who understand what service costs. So I'll ask again. Why are you here? Silence stretched between them. Finally, because I was wrong. About what? About you. About what I saw. About... Jake's jaw tightened. About what a soldier looks like. Emma nodded slowly. You saw trembling hands. Old uniform. Someone who didn't fit your image. You saw weakness. Yes, ma'am. What do you see now? Jake looked at her. Really looked. The scars on her collarbone. The weight in her eyes. The way she held herself still controlled like movement cost something. I see someone who survived something I can't imagine. Wrong. Emma's voice was sharp. You see someone who didn't survive. Ghost 7 died in that tunnel with her team. I'm just what walked out. Jake blinked. You want to know what Death Brigade means? Emma opened the file. It means you accept death before the mission starts. You're already gone. Already buried. The only question is whether you take the mission with you when you fall. She pulled out a photo, placed it facing Jake. 13 soldiers, full gear, weapons ready, standing in front of a transport helicopter. Emma pointed to each face. Ghost 1, Captain Marcus Reed, Harvard grad, Rhodes Scholar, 2 kids. He took 3 bullets holding the door so we could get inside. Next face. Ghost 2, Sergeant Lisa Tran, best EOD tech I ever saw. She disarmed the first bomb with her hands shaking so bad she couldn't tie her boots. Died disarming the second. Next. Ghost 3, Corporal James Miller, 22 years old, engaged. Wedding planned for December. He held the stairs for 40 minutes against 20 hostiles. Gave us time to find the 3rd bomb. Emma went through all 12. Every name. Every death. Every sacrifice. Jake's throat was tight. That's what this uniform costs, Lieutenant. That's what you judged yesterday. Emma pulled the photo back. Now tell me why you're here. Jake's hands were fists. Because I need to understand. Understand what it means to actually serve, not just wear the uniform, not just follow orders. He struggled. To be worth what they gave. Emma studied him. Long moment. Then, you've had 3 deployments, 0 casualties under your command. Why? Good tactics, good team, good luck. Emma cut him off. You had luck. You never had to choose who dies so others live. Never had to hold your position while your team bled out. Never had to walk out alone. She leaned forward. You've been playing soldier lieutenant. Real soldiers know they're already dead. They just decide what they die for. Jake felt something crack inside him. I know what I looked like yesterday, Emma continued. Broken. Weak. Easy target. You saw someone who didn't belong, and you attacked. Her voice dropped. In 6 weeks, you'll face scenarios where that instinct kills everyone, where judging wrong costs lives, where hesitation, assumption, arrogance, any of it means mission failure. She paused. Can you let go of who you think you are and become what's needed? I don't know. Good answer. Emma closed the file. Wrong answer would have been yes. Soldiers who think they know themselves get their teams killed. She stood. You're in the evaluation pool. 19 candidates. 13 will be chosen. Most won't make it. Those who do, she moved to the door. They'll wish they hadn't. Ma'am, Emma stopped. Why me? After yesterday, why put me in the pool? Emma looked back. Because you need to learn what you judged. Because arrogance can be trained out, but cowardice can't. Because I need to know if you break or break through. She opened the door. And because my team deserved better than dying next to someone who didn't understand what they were walking into. The next 13 deserve that too. She left. Jake sat alone in the room, staring at the empty chair, feeling something he'd never felt before. Fear. Not of dying, of being found wanting. 3 hours later, Maria Santos knocked on the same door. Come in. Maria entered, stood at attention. Emma gestured to the chair. Maria sat. Private Santos, 2 Bronze Stars, expert marksman, tactical prodigy. Emma read from the file. Recommended for officer training twice, declined both times. Why? Didn't want it, ma'am. Bullshit. Why? Maria's jaw worked. Because leadership means making calls that kill people. I'm not ready for that. But you're ready to die. That's different. How? Maria met her eyes. Dying is simple. You take the bullet. It's over. Making the call that sends someone else to take the bullet. She shook her head. That's harder. Emma closed the file. You're wrong. Ma'am, dying isn't simple. It's the easiest part. Emma's voice was cold. Living with what you did to survive, that's the hard part. Walking out alone, facing families, looking in the mirror and seeing ghosts. She leaned forward. You think avoiding leadership protects you from that weight. It doesn't. Death Brigade doesn't have followers. Everyone leads. Everyone decides. Everyone carries the weight. Maria's hands tightened on her knees. Goes to Lisa Tran. She made a call that saved 3 of us and killed herself. She chose to cut the red wire instead of the blue. She was wrong. Bomb went off. She died. Emma paused. But her choice gave us 7 extra seconds. Those seconds let Ghost 4 reach the second bomb. His death gave us time to find the third. Every death was a decision. Every decision led to another. That's what you're avoiding. I'm not afraid of dying, ma'am. I know. You're afraid of killing, of making the wrong call, of living with the consequences. Emma stood, walked to the window. You want to know why I survived? Yes, ma'am. Because I made 12 decisions that got my team killed. I chose who went first, who held which position, who covered which sector. Every choice led to someone dying. Emma turned. I walked out because 12 people died in the right place at the right time doing exactly what I told them to do. I live with that every day, every night, every time I close my eyes. Maria's face was pale. That's what Death Brigade means. You don't die for your country. You kill for it. You make calls that end lives, enemy and friendly, to complete the mission. And if you're the unlucky one who survives... Emma moved back to the desk. You live with being the reason everyone else is dead. Silence filled the room like smoke. Why are you telling me this? Maria whispered. Because you're good. Because you could lead. Because you hide behind enlisted rank so you don't have to carry command weight. Emma sat. And because Death Brigade needs soldiers who understand what they're choosing. Not glory, not heroism, just the math of survival. Someone lives. Someone dies. You decide which. Maria's breathing was shallow. Can you make that call? Emma asked. I don't know. Good. You're in the pool. Maria blinked. Ma'am, soldiers who think they can make that call are dangerous. Soldiers who know they can't but try anyway. Emma opened another file. Those are the ones who might survive what's coming. Maria stood, saluted, left. Her hands were shaking. Devon Chen was next, former Marine Raider, 28. Dishonorable discharge overturned. Details classified. Fort Thunder's best hand-to-hand instructor. He sat across from Emma like he was waiting for a punch. Corporal Chen, your discharge want to tell me what happened? No, ma'am. Wasn't a request. Devon's face hardened. Afghanistan, 2021. My unit got ambushed. But intel, wrong coordinates. We were supposed to hit a weapons cache. Instead, we hit a wedding. His voice went flat. 37 civilians dead. Women, children, old men. I reported it. Command said collateral damage. I refused to let it go. They discharged me for insubordination. Emma nodded. Appeal took 2 years. Why'd they overturn it? Because someone leaked the real intel. Command knew it was a wedding. Sent us anyway. Thought we'd find HVTs there. Devon's hands were fists. We didn't. We found families. You rebuilt your career from nothing. Why? Because walking away would have meant those deaths were for nothing. Staying means maybe I can be better. Do better. Make the next call count for something. Emma studied him. You carry guilt. Every day. Good. You're in. Devon's head snapped up. What? Death Brigade runs on guilt, on knowing what failure costs, on soldiers who've already failed once and refuse to fail again. Emma pulled out another photo, placed it down. Same 13 soldiers. Different angle. Ghost 8, Sergeant Paul Morrison. He froze during our breach. Hesitated for 3 seconds. In those 3 seconds, Ghost 1 took a bullet meant for him. Paul spent the rest of the mission trying to make up for it. Died holding a door that didn't need holding because he couldn't forgive himself for freezing. Emma looked at Devon. Guilt makes you reckless, or makes you precise. Which one are you? Precise. Prove it. Devon leaned forward. How? By making it through the next 6 weeks without trying to die. Emma's voice went hard. Soldiers who want redemption through death are useless. Soldiers who want redemption through living, through being better doing, better saving, who can be saved, those are worth something. Devon sat back. Processing. You think I want to die? I think you've been punishing yourself for 2 years. I think every fight you take, every risk you make, every dangerous assignment you volunteer for is you trying to balance the scales. Emma closed his file. But scales don't balance. 37 dead don't come back because you die heroically. They stay dead. Your job isn't dying for them. It's living in spite of them. Making the next call better. Saving the next life. Being the soldier they needed you to be. Devon's throat worked. Can you do that? Emma asked. I don't know if I deserve to. Nobody deserves to survive. They just do. Then they decide what to do with it. Emma stood. Death Brigade isn't redemption. It's acceptance. You accept you're already gone and decide what matters before you are. Not guilt, not atonement, just mission. Devon stood. If I'm chosen, you go in knowing you're dead, knowing this might be the mission that finally balances your scales. But you don't get to choose when. The mission chooses. You just hold the line. Emma moved to the door. Can you live with that uncertainty? Devon looked at her for a long moment. Yes, ma'am. We'll see. He left. Emma sat alone, rubbing her temples. 3 interviews down, 16 to go. Her hands shook worse now. Always did when she talked about the mission. about the deaths, about walking out alone. She pulled out a pill bottle, took 2, pain meds, prescribed for nerve damage. She needed 4 to sleep, took 2 to function. The VA said she'd need them forever. Forever wasn't very long in her line of work. Next interview, Specialist Jessica Stone, 25. Social media influencer turned soldier, 2 million followers. Brother died in Kabul. Family tried to stop her from enlisting. She went anyway. Jessica entered like she expected cameras. Sat down, perfect posture, practiced smile. Emma hated her immediately. Specialist Stone, you had 2 million followers before enlisting. Now you have 3 million. You post weekly about your training. Your followers call you Hero Girl. Why? Jessica's smile didn't waver. They're proud of me. I'm proud to serve. Bullshit. The smile cracked. You're performing, Emma said. Every post, every photo, every carefully crafted story about finding purpose through service, you're selling a narrative. Jessica's face went red. That's not... Your brother died in Kabul. IED. He was 23. You were 22. You had a platform, a following, a career. You gave it up to enlist. Emma leaned forward. But you didn't really give it up, did you? You just changed the content. Now you post about training, about sacrifice, about finding real meaning. Your engagement's up 40% since you enlisted. Jessica stood. I'm not here for this. Sit down, Specialist. Ma'am, with respect, sit down. Jessica sat. Emma pulled out her phone. Scrolled. Found a post. Turned the screen to Jessica. 2 weeks ago, you posted this, quote, Today I learned what it means to push through pain. Every drop of sweat is from my brother. Every mile run is in his memory. This is what real strength looks like. End quote. Emma set down the phone. 30,000 likes, 500 comments, all of them calling you brave, inspiring, hero. Jessica said nothing. You're using your brother's death for content. That's not... Jessica's voice cracked. I'm honoring him. By performing grief for followers. Emma's voice was cold. By turning his sacrifice into your brand. Jessica's eyes filled with tears. You don't understand. Then explain it. Silence. He died alone, Jessica finally whispered. In a desert, thousands of miles from home, for a mission nobody cared about, for a war everyone forgot. The tears fell. Nobody even noticed. 3 articles in local papers, a flag ceremony, then nothing, like he never existed. Her voice broke. So I made sure people remember. I made sure his death meant something. I made sure you meant something. Emma cut through the tears like a knife. You're not honoring him. You're using him to feel important. Jessica's face crumpled. Your brother died because the mission required it, because someone had to hold that position, because that's what soldiers do. Emma stood, walked around the desk, sat on the edge. He didn't die so you could get followers. He died so people back home could keep living without thinking about the cost. That's the job. Anonymous, thankless, forgotten. She paused. Can you accept that... Jessica looked up, mascara running, image destroyed. I don't know how to. Then you're not ready for Death Brigade. Wait, Death Brigade missions don't exist. The soldiers don't exist. They die and nobody knows. No posts, no followers, no recognition. Just a closed casket and a lie about training accidents. Emma crossed her arms. Can you die anonymously? Can you give everything for a mission nobody will ever know about? Can you let your brother's death stay forgotten, if it means saving lives? Jessica's hands shook. That's not fair. Fair, Emma's laugh was bitter. My team saved 3 cities, millions of lives. Their families were told they died in a training accident. No medals, no monuments, no recognition. They're heroes nobody will ever know about. She leaned closer. That's the cost. Anonymous sacrifice. Can you pay it? Jessica wiped her face. Smearing makeup, looking suddenly young, vulnerable, real. I don't know. Good. You're in the pool. Jessica blinked. What? Soldiers who need recognition are useless. Soldiers who want it, but can sacrifice it. Emma moved back to her chair. Maybe they understand what matters. She opened another file. 6 weeks. We'll see if you're performing or if there's something real underneath. Jessica stood, no longer poised, no longer performing, just scared. Ma'am, if I'm chosen, can I tell my family? No. Can I post about it? No. Can I tell anyone? When you're dead, they'll be told you died in training. Nothing more. Jessica's face went white. That's the deal. Anonymous death for a mission that matters. Take it or leave. Jessica looked at Emma for a long moment. Then, I'll take it. She left. Emma sat back. 4 interviews down. 15 to go. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. She took 2 more pills. Outside, the sun was setting over Fort Thunder. Soldiers were ending their day, heading to chow, to barracks, to normal military life. Inside room 7, Emma prepared for the next interview. Sergeant First Class Marcus Webb, 34, 15 years in, Silver Star, Purple Heart. Passed over for promotion 3 times. Too aggressive, too risky, too dangerous. Exactly what Death Brigade needed. Emma opened his file. The door opened. Marcus walked in. 6 feet, scarred knuckles, eyes that had seen things and liked what they saw. He sat without being asked. You're wondering why I'm here, Marcus said. I know why you're here. You're wondering why you want to be. Marcus grinned. Sharp, predatory. Because I'm tired of pulling punches. Tired of missions where we're supposed to win clean, look good, make it PR friendly. He leaned forward. I want a mission where the only goal is winning. Where whatever it takes is what you do. Where clean doesn't matter. Just done. Emma stared at him. You're a psychopath. Maybe. You like killing. I like winning. Same thing in your mind. Marcus shrugged. War's about killing the other guy before he kills you. Everything else is politics. Emma closed his file. You're not in. Marcus's grin vanished. What? Death Brigade isn't for soldiers who like killing. It's for soldiers who hate it, but do it anyway because mission requires it. Emma stood. You're dangerous. Not to the enemy. To your team. Because you'll take risks that get them killed just so you can feel something. Marcus's face went hard. You don't know me. I know your type. Ghost 6 was like you. Loved the fight. Loved the chaos. Loved being the most dangerous person in the room. Emma's voice dropped. He got Ghost 9 killed because he pushed too hard. Took a risk that wasn't necessary. Wanted the glory. She moved to the door, opened it. You're not getting 13 people killed for your adrenaline rush. Get out. Marcus stood slowly, menace rolling off him. You're making a mistake. No, I'm learning from one I already made. They stared at each other. Then Marcus smiled. Different smile. Colder. You'll need someone like me. If I do, we've already lost. He left. Emma closed the door, locked it, sat down. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. Her heart was racing. Seeing Marcus had brought back Ghost 6. The way he smiled before taking stupid risks. The way he got Ghost 9 killed. The way she'd had to shoot him in the end because he wouldn't retreat, wouldn't follow orders, wouldn't stop. She'd killed her own teammate. Nobody knew that. The official report said Ghost 6 died holding his position. Truth was, Emma put 2 in his chest when he tried to push forward and compromise the mission. She'd made the call, saved the mission, lost her soul doing it. That's what Death Brigade meant. Making calls that destroy you. Emma pulled out the pill bottle again. Took 2 more. That made 6 today. She'd take 4 more before bed. Then she'd dream about Ghost 6's eyes when she pulled the trigger. Like every night. The door knocked. "Come in." Victor entered, looked at her, saw the pills, said nothing. 14 interviews tomorrow, Emma said. Then we start field testing. You okay? No. Victor sat. Want to talk about it? No. They sat in silence for a moment. Morrison's scared, Victor finally said. Good scared. The kind that teaches. Good. Santos is questioning everything. Good. Chen's carrying weight but working through it. Good. Stone posted about today's interview, said it was the hardest day of her life. 300,000 likes. Emma's jaw tightened. She learning or performing? Victor asked. Don't know yet. Victor stood. You need anything? No. He moved to the door. Stopped. Emma, yeah. You're doing the right thing. Emma looked at him. Tired. Broken. Held together by pills and purpose. Doesn't feel like it. It never does. He left. Emma sat alone in room 7. 14 more interviews tomorrow. Then field testing, then scenarios, then the final selection. 13 volunteers. One-way mission. She had 6 weeks to find 13 soldiers worth dying with. And every night she'd dream about the 12 who already had. Outside Fort Thunder went dark. Inside, Emma opened the next file. The testing had only just begun. 2 weeks later, 19 soldiers stood in full gear at 0400 hours. No one had slept. Emma made sure of that. Scenario Alpha starts in 10 minutes, she said. You have bad intelligence, wrong coordinates, wounded ally, hostiles closing, extract in 12 minutes or you're overrun. Jake raised his hand. Ma'am, what's the objective? Survive. Or don't. Your choice. She walked away. The 19 looked at each other. No leader assigned, no chain of command, just 19 soldiers and a scenario designed to break them. Maria spoke first. We need to move, now. Hold on. Jake pulled out the map. If the intel's wrong, we need to... There's no time for planning. Devon was already checking his weapon. Wounded ally means someone's dying while we talk. We go in blind, we all die, Jake shot back. We wait here, someone definitely dies. Maria started moving. I'm going. Follow or don't. She ran toward the training compound. 3 others followed her immediately. Jake cursed. Spread out 2-person teams. Stay in visual contact. The 19 split and moved. No coordination, no plan, just reaction. Emma watched from the observation tower with Victor beside her. They're panicking, Victor said. Good. Panic reveals truth. Inside the compound, Maria found the wounded ally, a mannequin rigged with speakers playing screaming sounds, blood-soaked uniform, timer counting down from 8 minutes. I got him! Maria shouted into her radio. Jake's voice crackled back. "Fall back to rally point. He's bleeding out. That's an order, Private." Maria looked at the mannequin, at the timer, at the exit 50 meters away. She grabbed the mannequin and started dragging. "Santos, what are you doing?" Jake's voice was sharp. "Saving him. You'll compromise the mission. He's part of the mission." Devon appeared beside her, started helping drag. "Shut up and move, both of you." They hauled the mannequin toward the exit, heavy, awkward, slowing them down. Gunfire erupted. Blanks but realistic. Hostiles instructors with sim rounds appeared from 3 directions. "Contact left," someone shouted. "Contact right. We're surrounded." Jessica Stone was frozen behind cover, phone in her hand. Recording. "Stone, what the hell are you doing?" Jake screamed. Jessica looked at her phone, at the scenario, at the chaos. She put the phone away, grabbed her weapon, started firing. The 19 fought their way to the extract point, disorganized, messy, but moving. 4 minutes left. Maria and Devon reached the exit with the mannequin, set it down. Maria checked for wounds. "Through and through on the shoulder. Pressure here. Tourniquet here." "We don't have time." Jake arrived, breathing hard. "Make time. That's not the mission." Maria looked up at him, face covered in fake blood, eyes blazing. "The mission is everyone comes home, not just who's convenient." Jake stared at her. Something shifted in his expression. "You're right." He keyed his radio. "All units defensive perimeter around the wounded. We hold until medevac." "There is no medevac," someone shouted back. "Then we carry him out." The 19 formed a circle, fired outward, covering Maria as she worked on the mannequin. Instructors pressed harder. More gunfire. Flashbangs. Smoke grenades. 2 soldiers went down, hit by sim rounds, eliminated from the scenario. Devon took a round to the chest, looked down at the paint splatter. "Fuck." He dropped his weapon, walked to the sideline. Jessica was crying, still firing, still moving, mascara running. Not performing now, just surviving. Jake took a round to the leg, stumbled, kept moving. "I'm hit! Stay up!" Maria shouted. "We're almost there! 1 minute left!" The 17 remaining soldiers hauled the mannequin through the exit gate. Timer hit 0. Klaxons blared. "Scenario complete!" Emma's voice echoed over speakers. 17 survivors. 2 KIA. Wounded ally secured. The soldiers collapsed, gasping, shaking. Maria sat with her head between her knees, trying not to vomit. Jake lay on his back, staring at the sky, his wounded leg throbbing from where the sim round hit. Jessica was sobbing openly now. No camera, no followers. Just raw emotion. Devon stood on the sideline with the other eliminated soldier, watching, silent. Emma walked down from the tower, moved through the survivors, stopped at Maria. "You disobeyed a direct order." Maria looked up. "Yes, ma'am." "You compromised the mission to save 1 person." "Yes, ma'am." "Why?" Maria's voice was steady. "Because if we leave people behind, we're not soldiers. We're just killers who follow orders." Emma stared at her. Long moment. "You failed." Maria's face went pale. "The wounded ally was bait. The enemy wanted you to stop, to cluster around him, to become a target." Emma's voice was cold. "In a real scenario, you'd all be dead. The mission would have failed, and the wounded ally would have died anyway. Maria looked at the mannequin, at her blood-stained hands, at the timer that read 0. I don't understand. Death Brigade isn't about saving everyone. It's about completing the mission so everyone else stays safe. Sometimes that means leaving people behind. Sometimes that means shooting the wounded so the enemy can't use them as bait. Sometimes that means making calls that destroy you. Emma looked at each soldier. Can you do that? Can you leave someone behind to save the mission? Silence. Then Jake. No. Emma turned to him. No, ma'am. I can't. I won't. Jake sat up. You want soldiers who can make that call. I understand. But I'm not that soldier. If that disqualifies me, fine. But I won't leave someone behind because it's tactically sound. I'll find another way or die trying. Emma's expression didn't change. You'll get your whole team killed. Maybe, but they'll die knowing I tried everything first. That's not good enough. It's all I have. Emma looked at him for a long moment. Then she walked to Devon on the sideline. You took a round to the chest. You're dead. What would you have done differently? Devon's jaw worked. Pushed harder, moved faster, taken the risk. Why? Because hesitation kills. Wrong. Emma stepped closer. Hesitation gives you time to think, to adapt, to survive. You took that round because you pushed without looking, because you thought speed mattered more than precision, because you're still trying to die for redemption instead of living for the mission. Devon's hands became fists. Ghost 8 died the same way. Pushed too hard. Took a bullet he could have avoided. Died trying to make up for one failure with another. Emma's voice dropped. You can't redeem the past by dying in the present. You redeem it by learning from it, by being better, by staying alive to make the next call count. Devon looked away. Emma moved to Jessica, still crying, still shaking. You recorded the scenario. Jessica's head snapped up. I stopped. I put it away. I fought. After you recorded 30 seconds of your team dying. Emma crouched down. Your first instinct was content. Your second instinct was survival. Which one wins when you're actually dying? Jessica wiped her face. I don't know. Figure it out. Fast. Emma stood, addressed all of them. Scenario Bravo starts in 6 hours. No sleep, no food, no breaks. You get water and time to think about what you just learned. Then we do it again. Groans from the survivors. Anyone want to quit? No one moved. Good, because it gets worse. Emma walked away. The 19 soldiers sat in exhausted silence. Some were rethinking their choices. Some were plotting how to survive the next scenario. Some were just trying to breathe. Maria looked at Jake. You meant what you said, about not leaving people behind. Jake nodded. That's going to get you killed. Probably. But you'd do it anyway. Yeah. Maria smiled. Tired. Genuine. Good. Because I would too. 6 hours later, Scenario Bravo began. This time the mission was different. Secure a data drive from a hostile location. Extract it before enemy reinforcements arrive. Simple. Except the data drive was in a room with a dying civilian. Injured. Bleeding out. Begging for help. And the civilian was rigged with speakers playing a child's voice. Please help my dad. Please don't leave him. Please. The 19 entered the room. Saw the civilian. Heard the voice. froze. Jake moved first, toward the civilian. "Morrison, the mission," someone shouted. "Get the drive. I'll get him out." "There's no time. Then make time." Maria grabbed the drive, saw Jake struggling to lift the civilian. The man was rigged to weigh 200 pounds. Dead weight. "Jake, leave him." "No, we have 90 seconds. Then help me." Maria looked at the drive in her hand, at Jake struggling with the civilian, at the door. She made a choice. Dropped the drive. Helped Jake. Together, they hauled the civilian toward the exit. 60 seconds. 50. 40. Other soldiers grabbed the drive, started running. 30 seconds. Jake and Maria reached the door. The civilian was through. They turned back for the drive. 20 seconds. The drive team was pinned down. Simulated gunfire. They couldn't move. "Leave it!" Maria shouted. "Negative." Devon pushed forward, grabbed the drive, took 3 sim rounds doing it, thrown the drive to Jessica before collapsing. Jessica caught it. Ran. 10 seconds. She made it through the door at 0. Mission complete. But 6 soldiers were eliminated, including Devon, including Jake. Emma's voice over the speakers. "Mission success. Data secured. Civilian saved. 50% casualties." Unacceptable. The survivors stood there, looking at the eliminated soldiers on the sideline. Jake was breathing hard, paint rounds covering his chest. He'd taken 4 hits getting the civilian out. Emma walked in. "Private Santos, you had the drive. You dropped it to save the civilian." "Why?" Maria's voice was hoarse. "Because Morrison needed help." The mission was the drive, not the civilian. The mission was both. No, the mission was the drive. The civilian was moral weight, a test to see if you'd compromise tactical success for emotional satisfaction. Emma looked at Jake. "Lieutenant Morrison, you took 4 rounds fatal wounds saving a man who wasn't part of the mission. Your team lost 6 people because you made an emotional decision. Justify it." Jake looked at the civilian mannequin, at the speakers still playing the child's voice on loop. "I can't." "Good answer. Wrong choice." "I know. Do it again." Jake met her eyes. "Yes. Why?" "Because if I'm the type of soldier who can walk past a dying man because he's not part of the mission, then I'm not worth saving anyway." Emma stared at him. Something flickered in her expression. Ghost One said the same thing, right before he took 3 bullets holding the door so we could save civilians who weren't part of our mission. He died because he couldn't walk away. Her voice went quiet. I walked out because he didn't. The room was silent. Death Brigade isn't about being heartless. It's about making calls that break your heart and doing them anyway because the mission requires it. Ghost One made his call. It got him killed. But it saved 8 people who weren't supposed to survive. Emma looked at each soldier. Can you make that call? Can you choose who lives and dies based on mission priorities instead of moral comfort? No one answered. Scenario Charlie starts in 4 hours. Same rules. No sleep, no food. Figure out who you are before then. She left. The soldiers collapsed, exhausted, shaking. Some were crying. Some were staring at nothing. Some were questioning everything. Jessica sat against a wall. No phone, no camera, just sitting. Maria joined her, said nothing, just sat. After a minute, I don't know if I can do this. Maria looked at her. The scenarios, the choices, leaving people behind, prioritizing mission over lives. I enlisted because my brother died, because I wanted his death to mean something, But if I become someone who can walk past dying people because they're not tactically relevant, Jessica's voice broke. What's the point? Maria didn't have an answer. Jake sat with Devon on the sideline, both eliminated, both processing. You died getting that drive out, Jake said. Yeah. Why, you could have let someone else take the risk. Devon looked at his hands, covered in paint from the sim rounds. Because I'm tired of watching other people take bullets I could have taken. Tired of surviving when better people die. He paused. Tired of carrying guilt that won't go away no matter how many risks I take. Emma said you're trying to die. Maybe I am. That's not courage. That's suicide. Devon's jaw tightened. What's the difference when you're already dead inside? Jake looked at him. Really looked. Saw the weight, the scars that weren't physical. The hollow eyes of someone who'd seen things they couldn't unsee. The difference is what you do before you actually die. If you're trying to die, you waste it. If you're trying to live for something that matters, even if it kills you. Jake trailed off. I don't know. Maybe there's no difference. Maybe we're all just choosing how we go out. Emma survived, Devon said. She went in with 12. Came out alone. How does someone live with that? By choosing 13 more to send in. Jake's voice was bitter. By making sure they understand what they're choosing. By carrying the weight so the next group knows what it costs. That's not living. That's existing. Maybe that's all she has left. They sat in silence. Across the compound, Emma was in her office, hands shaking, pills on the desk. She'd taken 8 today. Should be enough. Wasn't. Victor knocked, entered without waiting. They're breaking. Good. Emma, they're not ready for Charlie. They're never ready. That's the point. Victor sat down, looked at the pills. How many today? Don't. How many? 8. You're supposed to take 4 max. I know. You're going to burn out before they do. Emma looked at him, eyes hollow. I burned out 5 years ago, Victor. I'm just what's left. Victor's face softened. You don't have to do this. Yes, I do. Because if I don't, someone else will. Someone who doesn't know what it costs. Someone who'll send them in unprepared. Someone who'll get them killed for nothing instead of something. Emma's voice cracked. I owe my 12 that much. The next 13 deserve someone who knows what hell looks like because they've been there. And if you don't survive the selection process, then I finally stopped dreaming about Ghost 6's eyes when I shot him. Victor went still. What? Emma looked away. Official report says Ghost 6 died holding his position. Truth is, he tried to push forward, compromise the mission, get us all killed for glory. I ordered him to retreat. He refused, so I shot him. 2 rounds, center mass. Her voice was flat, mechanical. He died looking surprised, like he couldn't believe I'd do it, like we were friends and friends don't kill each other. She laughed. Bitter. Broken. But Death Brigade doesn't have friends. Just soldiers who haven't died yet. I made the call. Saved the mission. Lost my soul. Victor was silent for a long moment. Does anyone else know? No. The official report protects me. Protects his family. Protects the narrative that everyone died heroically. Emma stood. Walked to the window. But I know, every night, every time I close my eyes, I see him falling, see the surprise, see the blood, and I know that's what Death Brigade means. Not dying for your brothers, killing them when the mission requires it. Emma, Scenario Charlie tests that. Tests whether they can make the call to shoot their own teammate if that teammate compromises the mission. Tests whether they understand that sometimes the enemy isn't outside the wire. It's inside. She turned. And if they can't make that call, they're not ready. They'll never be ready. And I won't send them in to fail like I almost did. Victor stood slowly. You're putting them through hell. Yes. Some won't survive it mentally. Better they break here than in the field. And if you break first, Emma smiled, sad, tired. Then someone else finishes the selection, because the mission matters more than me, more than them, more than anyone. She picked up the pill bottle. That's what Ghost One taught me. That's what they all taught me. The mission is everything. We're just tools to complete it. Expendable, replaceable, necessary. She took 2 more pills. Victor watched, said nothing, just turned and left. Emma stood alone in her office, staring at the wall where photos of her team used to hang before she burned them all, before she tried to erase faces that wouldn't stay erased. 4 hours until Scenario Charlie. 4 hours to prepare 13 soldiers for the worst test of their lives. 4 hours to make sure they understood that sometimes the enemy wore friendly faces. Emma's hands wouldn't stop shaking. She took 2 more pills. That made 12 today. Enough to function. Not enough to forget. Nothing was ever enough to forget. At 2200 hours, the 19 soldiers assembled again. Exhausted. Broken. Held together by stubborn will and stupid courage. Emma stood before them, rifle in hand. Scenario Charlie is different. This time you're hunting a saboteur. Someone on your team is compromised, working for the enemy. They'll sabotage the mission at a critical moment. Your job is to identify them, stop them, complete the mission. She paused. And if you identify wrong, you lose. If you hesitate, you lose. If the saboteur succeeds, everyone loses. Jake raised his hand. Ma'am, who's the saboteur? Emma smiled. Cold. Figure it out. She walked away. The 19 looked at each other, suspicion blooming, trust dying, friendships formed over 2 weeks cracking under pressure. It could be anyone, Maria whispered. Could be you, someone shot back. Or you. Or any of us. The scenario began. The mission was simple. Breach a building. Secure a package. Extract. 20 minutes. But inside the building, the saboteur would act. Would compromise them. Would test whether they'd shoot their own to save the mission. The 19 moved in. Weapons ready. Eyes on each other as much as the objective. Jake took point. Maria covered. Devon pushed forward. Jessica stayed in the middle. Filming, no, not filming. Just moving. She'd learned. They reached the package. A locked case requiring 2 keys. 2 soldiers had keys. They had to work together. Jake and Devon approached the case, inserted their keys, turned them simultaneously. The case opened. Inside was a note. One of you is about to betray the others. Stop them or fail. Everyone froze. Then Devon moved. Fast. Grabbed the package, started running. Devon, stop! Jake shouted. Devon kept running. Maria raised her weapon. Chen, stand down! Devon didn't stop. Maria fired. Sim round hit Devon in the back. He stumbled. Dropped the package. Collapsed. Target down, Maria said, voice shaking. Emma's voice over the speakers. Scenario failed. You shot the wrong person. Everyone went still. Devon wasn't the saboteur. He was moving to secure the package from the actual saboteur who was about to destroy it. Emma walked into the building. pointed at another soldier. Private Jackson was the saboteur. He was about to throw a thermite grenade into the case. Devon saw it, moved to stop him. You shot him for it. Maria looked at her weapon, at Devon on the ground, at the paint marking his back. I didn't know. Exactly. You made a call based on incomplete information. You were wrong. In a real scenario, Devon's dead. The saboteur succeeds. Mission fails. Emma looked at each soldier. Can you live with that? Maria's weapon fell from her hands. She dropped to her knees. I can't. I can't do this. I can't shoot teammates. I can't make calls that kill people. I can't. Then you're not ready. Emma's voice was ice. And you never will be. Maria looked up, tears streaming. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't complete missions. Sorry doesn't save lives. Sorry is what you feel after you fail. Emma crouched down. Ghost 7 me. I shot Ghost 6 because he compromised the mission. I made the call. I lived with it. Can you... Maria shook her head. No. Then you're out. Maria stood slowly, removed her gear, walked to the sideline. Emma turned to the remaining 18. Anyone else want to quit before we continue? 4 more soldiers stepped forward, removed their gear, left. 14 remained. Emma looked at them. Good. The ones who can't make hard calls are gone. Now we find out if the rest of you can make the calls and survive them. She reset the scenario. Again. This time no one hesitates. No one second guesses. Someone's a saboteur. You identify them. You stop them. You complete the mission. Do whatever it takes. The 14 soldiers looked at each other with new eyes. Suspicion. Fear. Determination. The scenario began again, and this time when someone made a move that looked wrong, 3 weapons came up immediately. Don't move. The soldier froze. Hands up. I'm not. Prove it. The standoff lasted 10 seconds before Emma called it. Good. You're learning. Suspicion keeps you alive. Trust gets you killed. She smiled. Cruel. But now you have a new problem. You've created an environment where no one trusts anyone, where everyone's a potential enemy, where paranoia rules. She paused. How do you complete a mission when you can't trust your team? Jake spoke. You trust the mission, not the people. Emma looked at him. Elaborate. You don't trust that everyone's loyal. You trust that everyone wants to survive. So you structure the mission so that betrayal means everyone dies, including the saboteur. You make loyalty the only viable option. Emma's expression shifted. Something like approval. Good answer. Better execution. Show me. For the next 6 hours, the 14 soldiers ran the scenario repeatedly. Each time with different saboteurs, different betrayals, different tests of loyalty, trust, and survival. By dawn, they understood. Death Brigade wasn't about trusting your team. It was about completing the mission despite your team, about structuring success so that everyone's survival depended on cooperation, even when trust was gone. When the final scenario ended, the 14 stood in exhausted silence. Emma looked at them. 2 more weeks of this. Then I choose 13. One of you goes home, the rest go to hell. She walked away. The 14 soldiers collapsed where they stood, too tired to move, too broken to care, too committed to quit. Jake lay on his back, staring at the lightening sky. Jessica sat beside him. No phone, no followers. Just exhausted. You still recording in your head? Jake asked. Every second. For what? For when I'm dead. and no one knows why. Jessica's voice was hollow. So at least I know it mattered. Jake looked at her. It matters now. Before you're dead, that's the point. Is it because it doesn't feel like it matters? Feels like we're just learning how to die. We're learning how to live when dying is the only option. There's a difference. Jessica smiled. Tired. You really believe that? I have to. Otherwise, this is all just suicide with extra steps. They lay there as the sun rose over Fort Thunder. Somewhere in her office, Emma took 2 more pills. 14 today so far. 2 weeks left. Then 13 would be chosen. And one way or another, Emma would finally stop dreaming about Ghost 6's surprised eyes. Or she'd die, trying to forget them. Either way, the mission would be complete. That's all that mattered. That's all that ever mattered. 2 weeks of hell later. 13 soldiers stood before Emma at dawn. One had been cut the night before, failed the final psych evaluation when he admitted he'd rather die than make the hard call. That left these 13. Hardened. Broken. Reformed into something else. Jake looked different, thinner, older. Eyes that had seen simulated deaths, but understood real ones were coming. Jessica had stopped checking her phone entirely. 3 million followers, and she hadn't posted in 14 days. Her family was calling. She wasn't answering. Devon stood straighter somehow. Less reckless. More precise. Emma had broken his death wish and rebuilt it into something useful, controlled aggression instead of suicidal redemption. The others were similar, transformed. Forged in scenarios that stripped away who they thought they were and revealed what remained. Emma walked the line, studying each face. 13 of you stand here. 13 will be chosen. Every single one of you is going. She paused. The cutting is over. Now comes the knowing. Jake spoke. Ma'am, what's the mission? Emma pulled out a folder, dropped it on the table behind her. Classified stamps covering every page. Nuclear facility, underground, buried beneath a refugee camp in a country we're not supposed to be operating in. The facility is producing weapons-grade plutonium for 3 different terror organizations. Intelligence says they're weeks away from completing 4 portable nuclear devices. She let that sink in. Your mission is to infiltrate the facility, destroy the reactors, secure any completed devices, and hold the position until a humanitarian convoy can evacuate the refugees above you. How long's the hold? Devon asked. 10 hours minimum. What's the extraction plan? There isn't one. Silence crashed over them like a wave. Jessica's voice was small. None. The facility is a kill box. Once you breach the enemy, we'll lock it down, seal the exits, flood it with personnel. You'll be 13 soldiers against 300 hostiles in an underground maze with no air support, no backup, and no way out. Emma's voice was flat. Professional. Dead. You go in knowing you're not coming out. Your job is to hold long enough for the convoy to evacuate 4,000 refugees and for the reactors to be destroyed. That's it. After that, whether you live or die is irrelevant to mission success. Jake's hands were fists. So we're just buying time with our lives. Yes. For how long? Until you can't anymore. Emma opened the folder, pulled out photos. 13 faces. My team held for 16 hours. 12 died doing it. I walked out because Ghost 12 threw me through an access hatch while he held off 40 hostiles alone. He bought me 90 seconds. That's how long it took him to die. She looked at each soldier. One of you might survive. Statistically, none of you will. Can you accept that? No one answered immediately. Then Jessica. If we don't go, what happens? 4 nuclear devices get distributed to 3 terror organizations. Best case scenario, 1 detonates in a major city. Worst case, all 4 do simultaneously. Millions dead, maybe tens of millions depending on targets. And if we go, you die stopping it. Jessica looked at her hands, at the others, at Emma. That's not a choice. That's just different versions of death. No. Emma's voice was hard. One version people die for nothing. The other version you die for something. That's the only choice that matters. Everything else is details. Devon stepped forward. When do we leave? 72 hours. You have 3 days to prepare. To train in the facility mock-up. To memorize layouts. To say goodbye without saying goodbye, because no one can know what you're doing. Emma picked up the folder. After tonight, you're ghosts. You stop existing in official records. Your families will be told you're on a classified training exercise. When you don't come back, they'll be told it was an accident. Training malfunction. Bad weather. Equipment failure. Whatever lie keeps the mission buried. My mother can't know. Jake's voice cracked slightly. No one can know. Not family. Not friends. Not other soldiers. Emma looked at him. When you're dead, your sacrifice stays buried. No medals, no monuments, no recognition. Just a closed casket and a flag. That's the deal. Jake nodded slowly. Accepting. Understanding. Emma moved toward the door. Stopped. Tonight you get 8 hours of personal time. Use it however you need. Tomorrow we start final preparation. Day 3 is individual briefings on your specific roles. Then you're gone. She looked back. Anyone changes their mind, now's the time. 13 soldiers stood silent. No one moved. Good. Dismissed. They scattered. Some went to call family without telling them anything. Some went to write letters that would never be sent. Some just sat alone with the knowledge that they had 3 days left. Jake found himself walking to the memorial wall, where Fort Thunder honored its fallen. Hundreds of names. Thousands of lives. All of them died for missions that mattered, but at least people knew they died. Death Brigade soldiers didn't even get that. Strange place to find peace. Emma's voice came from behind him. Jake didn't turn. I'm not finding peace. I'm trying to understand what my name will look like when it's not here. Emma stood beside him, close enough to talk quietly, far enough to maintain distance. Your name goes on a different wall. Classified. Hidden. Only accessible to those with clearance above God. She paused. I see it sometimes. When I can't sleep. 12 names. 12 ghosts. 12 reasons I take too many pills and can't close my eyes without seeing them. Do you regret it? Every second of every day. Then why are you doing this again? Emma was quiet for a long moment. Because regret means I remember. And remembering means they mattered. And if they mattered, then doing it again honors what they gave. She looked at him. You'll understand after. If there is an after. You think any of us survive? No. Not even one. Hope's a luxury soldiers can't afford. It makes you hesitate. Makes you try for survival when mission completion is all that matters. Emma's voice was hollow. But I hoped anyway. Hoped maybe if we fought hard enough, smart enough, someone would make it. That hope got Ghost 11 killed. He tried to save Ghost 9 instead of destroying the reactor. Both died. Mission almost failed. She turned to face Jake fully. Don't hope. Don't try to survive. Just complete your task and let the math handle the rest. Jake looked at her. really looked. Saw the pills she thought no one noticed. The trembling hands she couldn't control. The weight in her eyes that never lifted. You didn't survive, did you? Not really. No. Ghost 7 died in that facility. Emma Hayes walked out. I don't know what the difference is anymore. She started walking away. Get your 8 hours, Lieutenant. You'll need them. She left. Jake stood alone at the memorial wall, knowing his name would never be there, knowing his sacrifice would be erased, knowing his mother would believe a lie. He pulled out his phone, called home. His father answered. Jake, everything okay? Yeah, Dad. Just wanted to hear your voice. Silence on the other end. His father knew that tone, knew what it meant. How bad is it, son? Can't say. You know that? I know. His father's voice was careful. Your mother's here. Want to talk to her? Yeah. Shuffling sounds. Then his mother. Jakey, you okay, baby? Jake closed his eyes. I'm good, Mom. Just calling to say I love you. I love you too, honey. When are you coming home? Soon, maybe. I don't know. His throat was tight. I need you to know that everything I do because it matters. Because it's worth it. Okay? Jake, you're scaring me. Don't be scared. Be proud. Can you do that? Silence. Then, always proud, baby, always. They talked for 20 minutes. About nothing. About everything. About family dinners and holidays and his sister's new job and the dog that kept digging up the garden. Normal things. Beautiful things. Things Jake would never see again. When he hung up, he was crying. Not from fear, from understanding what he was giving up and choosing to give it anyway. Across the base, Jessica sat in her barracks. Phone in hand. 3 million followers. 14 days of silence. 4,000 unread messages. She opened her drafts. Started typing. I can't tell you where I am or what I'm doing. I can't tell you if I'll post again. I can't tell you anything except this. Everything I've posted about finding meaning, about service mattering, about sacrifice being real, I finally understand it. Not the performance of it, the actual weight of it. And it's heavier than I ever imagined. If you don't hear from me again, know that I finally found something worth dying for. That's not depression. That's not giving up. That's finally understanding what living actually costs. Love you all. Thank you for following this journey, even the parts I can't share. She read it over, deleted it. Too much. Too revealing. Would cause questions. She started again. Taking a break from social media to focus on training. Be back soon. Love you guys. Simple. Safe. A lie. She posted it. Within minutes, hundreds of comments. Supportive, encouraging, completely unaware that they'd never hear from Hero Girl again. Jessica turned off her phone, put it in her locker, closed the door. When she died, someone would find it. Read the drafts, understand what she couldn't say. Or they wouldn't. Maybe they'd just ship it to her family with her other belongings. Maybe her sister would post a memorial. Maybe 3 million people would mourn without knowing what they were mourning. It didn't matter. She'd finally stopped performing. Now she just had to learn to die without an audience. Devon spent his 8 hours differently. He wrote letters. One to each family member of the soldiers who died in Afghanistan when his unit hit the wedding. 37 letters. 37 apologies. 37 explanations that wouldn't bring anyone back, but might offer something closure, understanding, acknowledgement. He didn't mail them. Couldn't. They were too revealing, too honest, too dangerous. But he wrote them anyway, because in 3 days he'd be dead, and these letters were the only way to balance scales that would never balance. When he finished, he burned them, one by one. Watching the words turn to ash, watching his apologies disappear like the lives they represented. Ghostum sum. 12 had died buying Emma 90 seconds. Devon wondered how many seconds he'd buy, how many lives his death would save, whether 37 deaths could be balanced by 4,000 lives. The math didn't work. It never did. But at least he'd die trying. That was something. The next morning, 13 soldiers assembled for final preparation. The facility mock-up was exact. Underground. Dark. Claustrophobic. Designed to simulate the hell they'd be walking into. Emma stood at the entrance. You have 48 hours to learn every corridor, every reactor, every choke point, every place you'll fight, every place you'll die. She pulled out tactical assignments. Each of you has a specific role. Fail your role, the mission fails. Die before completing your role, someone else picks it up. No excuses, no hesitation, no hope. She handed out the assignments. Jake Breach, team leader. First in, first to die. Jessica, communications. Keep the channel open until the convoy evacuates. Then destroy the equipment so the enemy can't use it. Devon, reactor demolition. Plant charges. Detonate them. Make sure nothing survives. The others, security. Holding positions. Buying time with their lives. For 48 hours they ran drills. Over and over. Learning the facility in their sleep. Memorizing every turn. Every reactor. Every death trap. They practiced dying. Actually practiced it. Emma would call out casualties randomly. Ghost 3 is down. Ghost 6 is down. Ghost 9 is down. And they'd have to adapt, pick up roles, continue the mission, complete objectives even as their team was systematically eliminated. By hour 36, they'd run the simulation 200 times. Each time losing people. Each time adapting. Each time completing the mission even when only 3 soldiers remained. By hour 48, they could run it in their sleep. Which was good, because none of them were sleeping. Emma called halt at hour 48. Final individual briefings, 1 hour each. Be ready. She pulled Jake first. In a private room, she laid out detailed maps. Your job is to breach the facility and establish the entry point. You'll take the most fire. You'll die first. Statistically, you have 6 minutes of combat life expectancy once you breach. 6 minutes. Yes. In those 6 minutes, you establish the perimeter. Secure the entry. Allow the others to push through. Then you die holding that position so they can advance. Jake stared at the map. And if I last longer than 6 minutes? You won't. But if you do push forward to secondary position here. She pointed. Hold that for 3 more minutes. Then you're done. Done meaning dead. Yes. Jake nodded. What if I can hold longer? Don't. Don't try to be a hero. Don't try to survive. Just complete your 9 minutes and let someone else take over. Trying to do more gets people killed. Emma looked at him. Ghost 1 tried to do more. Held the door for 12 minutes instead of 9. By the time Ghost 2 took over, we'd lost critical time on the reactors. His heroism almost cost us the mission. So I do my time and die. Exactly. What about leadership coordinating the team? Ghost 2 takes command when you fall. Ghost 5 takes command when she falls. Chain of command is automatic. Your job is to lead for 6 minutes, then get out of the way by dying. Jake's hands were fists. That's it. I lead my team for 6 minutes, then die. Yes. And those 6 minutes matter more than anything you've ever done. Because without them, no one else gets in. Without them, the mission fails before it starts. Without them, 4 nuclear devices get distributed, and millions die. Emma's voice was sharp. 6 minutes of your life for millions of theirs. That's the trade. Take it or refuse it, but don't pretend it's not worth it. Jake looked at the map. At the entry point. At the place he'd die. I'll take it. Good. Memorize this. You have 12 hours. She pulled Jessica next. Your job is communications. You maintain contact with command. You relay status updates. You confirm when the convoy evacuates. Then you destroy the equipment and die. Jessica's face was pale. How long do I last? 7 hours, if you're lucky. Maybe 8. You're positioned in the communications hub, relatively protected. But once the enemy realizes we have comms, they'll push for your position. When they do, you hold until the last possible moment. Then you detonate the charges rigged to the equipment. You die in the explosion. I have to blow myself up. Yes, can't let the enemy capture our equipment. Can't let them use our channels to feed false information to command. Your death ensures mission integrity. Jessica was shaking. 7 hours of listening to everyone die. Then I kill myself. Yes. What if I can escape instead, destroy the equipment and run? You won't make it, and trying means you might fail to destroy everything. Can't risk it. Emma pulled out a detonator. This is hardwired to your vest. When the time comes, you push the button. 3 seconds later, you're gone. Clean. Fast. Effective. Jessica stared at the detonator like it was a snake. I'll be alone when I do it. Yes. No one will see. No one will know. That's the point. Emma's voice softened slightly. You wanted your death to mean something. This is it. 7 hours of keeping the team connected, making sure command knows the mission status, ensuring the convoy evacuates safely, then one final act that guarantees the enemy can't compromise what we've built. She paused. It's not glorious. It's not filmed. It's not shareable. But it saves 4,000 lives. That's your meaning. Jessica took the detonator, hands shaking. Okay. Yes, I'll do it. Emma studied her face. You sure? Because once you're in, there's no backing out. I'm sure. Jessica's voice was steady. My brother died alone in a desert. At least I'll die knowing why. Emma nodded. Memorize your position. 12 hours. Devon was last. Reactor demolition. You plant charges on 4 reactors. 20-minute job, but you'll be doing it under fire. Enemy will know what you're doing. They'll push hard to stop you. How long do I have? 2 hours to plant everything. Then you detonate. You die in the blast. Devon smiled. Grim. At least it's quick. No, you detonate remotely, from a secondary position. You survive the initial blast. Then you hold that position until the radiation kills you. The smile died. How long does that take? 6 hours. Maybe 8. You'll be in the hot zone. Lethal radiation levels. Your body will shut down slowly, painfully, but you need to stay alive to ensure the reactors fully melt down. If you die too early, there's a chance the enemy could stabilize them. Devon's face was stone. So I plant charges. Detonate them, then slowly die of radiation poisoning while making sure nothing survives. Yes, that's not redemption. That's torture. No, that's duty. Emma met his eyes. Ghost 4 died the same way. Took him 9 hours. He spent those 9 hours in agony, but he stayed on comms, confirmed reactor destruction, made sure nothing could be salvaged. He died knowing he'd done his job completely. Devon sat back, Processing. I'll be alone. Yes. Dying slowly. Yes. Can I at least take pills? Speed it up. No. Need you conscious to monitor the meltdown. If you're unconscious, you can't confirm completion. So I die awake, in pain, alone, for 9 hours. For 4,000 refugees who'll never know your name. For millions who'll never know the threat existed. For the mission. Emma leaned forward. Can you do it? Devon looked at his hands. Scarred knuckles. Hands that had killed. Hands that had failed. Hands that were about to die slowly in a radioactive hellscape. Yeah, I can do it. Good. Memorize the reactor locations. 12 hours. The individual briefings continued through the night, each soldier learning their role, their death, their purpose. By dawn of the third day, 13 soldiers knew exactly how they'd die. Jake, 6 minutes of combat holding the breach. Jessica, 7 hours of comms ending in self-detonation. Devon, 9 hours of radiation death confirming reactor destruction. The others, various time frames, various methods, all ending the same way. Dead. At 0600, Emma assembled them one final time. You board the transport at 1800 hours, 6 hours from now. Use that time however you need. She looked at each face. When you walk onto that transport, you're ghosts. You stop being soldiers. Stop being people. You become tools of mission completion. Nothing more, nothing less. She pulled out 13 black coins. Same as the one she'd shown Colonel Patterson. Black metal, blood-red skull, 12 stars. But these had 13 stars. Death Brigade Fort 14. You're the 14th unit, the 13th mission. She handed each soldier a coin. When you die, this coin stays with your body. Recovery teams will identify you by it. Your families will receive it with a letter that says nothing about how you died or why, just that you served with honor. Jake held his coin. Heavy, cold, final. Is there anything else? He asked. Emma looked at him. At all of them. Yeah, one thing. She reached up, unbuttoned her jacket, turned around. The tattoo, the skull, the 12 red stars. When this is over, I add 13 more stars. Red for blood, red for sacrifice, red for lives that mattered even if no one knows. She turned back. You won't get monuments. You won't get recognition. But you'll get this. You'll be part of something that continues. Something that matters. Something that saves lives in the dark so others can live in the light. She buttoned her jacket. That's all. Dismissed. The 13 soldiers dispersed. 6 hours until transport. 6 hours until they became ghosts. Jake spent his time writing a letter he couldn't send, telling his mother he loved her, telling his father he was proud to follow in his footsteps, telling his sister to live well. He sealed it, left it in his locker. Maybe someone would find it. Maybe they wouldn't. Jessica recorded a video, not for followers, for her sister, explaining everything she couldn't explain, apologizing for the lie, promising that it mattered. She encrypted it, left it in her personal files. Maybe intelligence would clear it for release someday. Maybe they wouldn't. Devon sat alone. No letters, no videos, no goodbyes. Just quiet acceptance that in 72 hours he'd be dying slowly in a radioactive hellscape, and that was okay because 37 dead and 4,000 living would finally balance. At 1800 hours, 13 soldiers boarded a black transport. No markings, no identification, no official record it existed. Emma watched them load, one by one. Faces she'd trained, faces she'd broken, faces she'd sent to die. Victor stood beside her. "They're ready," he said. "No one's ever ready." "You were." "I wasn't. I just survived anyway." Emma's hands shook. 12 didn't. 13 won't. "I know." The transport doors closed. Engines roared. The aircraft lifted. Emma watched it disappear into the sunset. 13 ghosts going dark. 13 lives ending so millions could continue. 13 stars she'd add to her back when it was over. If she survived adding them. She turned to Victor. "I'm going to the monitoring station. I'll stay on comms as long as possible." "Emma, I need to hear it. Need to know when they fall. Need to—" Her voice broke. "Need to be there even if I can't help." Victor nodded. "I'll be there too." They walked to the command center together. Above them, the transport carrying Death Brigade Fort Fouine flew toward hell. Inside, 13 soldiers sat in silence, knowing they had 72 hours to live, knowing their deaths would be erased, knowing it mattered anyway. Jake looked at his coin. 13 red stars, soon to be joined by 12 more on Emma's back. He hoped she survived adding them. He hoped someone survived to remember. But hope was a luxury soldiers couldn't afford. So he put the coin away and started checking his gear. 6 minutes of combat life expectancy. He'd make them count. 72 hours later, Emma sat in the monitoring station wearing a headset that weighed nothing and everything. Victor was beside her. Neither had slept. Neither would until it was over. The infiltration had gone perfectly. Too perfectly. 13 ghosts inserted at 0200 local time. No alarms. No contact. Just silence as they descended into the facility beneath 4,000 sleeping refugees. Then at 0207, Jake's voice crackled through, "Ghost 1, breach successful, establishing perimeter." Emma's hands gripped the console. "Copy Ghost 1. Proceed." Gunfire erupted over the comms. Sharp, immediate, overwhelming. Jake's breathing was ragged. "Contact multiple hostiles, holding position. Ghost 2, push through." That was Devon. Moving. More gunfire. Screaming. The sound of bodies hitting the ground. Jake's voice again. "Perimeter established, Ghost 2. You're clear. Copy, advancing to secondary." 3 minutes had passed. Jake had 3 more. Emma watched the clock, watched the mission timer, watched everything she'd trained them for play out in real time. At minute 5, Jake's voice. "Taking heavy fire. They're pushing hard. Hold position. Ghost 1. Holding. Minute 6. Static. Then, Ghost 1 is down. Ghost 2 assuming command." Emma's breath caught. Victor's hand found her shoulder. Squeezed. 6 minutes. Exactly as predicted. Jake had done his job and died doing it. "Copy Ghost 2. Continue mission." Devon's voice was steady. "Advancing to reactor level. Ghost 4, Ghost 7, hold the stairs." "Copy. Holding. More gunfire." Explosions. The facility was waking up. 300 hostiles, realizing 13 soldiers were inside their kill box. At minute 23, Ghost 4 is down. At minute 37, Ghost 7 is down. Emma's nails dug into her palms. Victor was stone beside her. They couldn't help, couldn't intervene, could only listen as the team died exactly as planned. Jessica's voice came through at hour 1. "Ghost 11, communications hub secured, establishing uplink to command." Copy Ghost 11. Status on convoy. Convoy is moving. ETA to refugee camp is 9 hours. 9 hours. The team needed to hold for 9 hours. Emma did the math. At current casualty rate, they'd all be dead in 4. At hour 2, Devon reached the reactors. Ghost 3. Beginning demolition sequence. Need 20 minutes. Copy. All units defensive posture. Protect Ghost 3. The next 20 minutes were hell transmitted through audio. Constant gunfire, explosions, screaming, bodies falling. Ghost 6 is down. Ghost 9 is down. Ghost 12 is down. Devon's voice cut through. Charges planted. Retreating to detonation point. All units fall back. Fall back. At hour 2 and 34 minutes, Devon detonated the charges. The explosion was massive. Emma heard it through the comms, felt it in her chest even though she was thousands of miles away. Static. Then Devon's voice weak. Reactors destroyed, confirming meltdown in progress. Copy Ghost 3. Status. Radiation levels critical. I'm in the hot zone. I'll stay on comms as long as I can. Emma closed her eyes. Devon had just sentenced himself to 9 hours of dying. And he knew it. Understood, Ghost 3. Complete your mission. Will do. At hour 3, only 7 soldiers remained. At hour 4, only 5. Jessica's voice was steady through it all. Relaying coordinates, confirming convoy progress, keeping the channel open even as her teammates died around her. Ghost 11. Convoy is 4 hours out. Repeat 4 hours. Copy. All units hold positions. 4 more hours. At hour 5, Devon's voice was slurred. Ghost 3. Radiation sickness setting in. Vision's blurry. Hands won't stop shaking. But reactors are fully melted. Mission complete on my end. Copy Ghost 3. You did good. Tell Emma I figured it out. Emma leaned into the mic. Tell me what Ghost 3... Redemption isn't dying for the past. It's living for the mission. I get it now. His signal went dead at hour 6. Not from death, from equipment failure. He was still alive in that radioactive hellscape, still monitoring, still alone. But Emma couldn't hear him anymore. At hour 7, only 3 soldiers remained. Jessica, and 2 others holding defensive positions. Ghost 11. Convoy is 2 hours out. Enemy is pushing hard. They know what we're doing. Hold position, Ghost 11. Holding. At hour 7 and 43 minutes, Ghost 5 is down. At hour 8 and 16 minutes, Ghost 8 is down. Jessica was alone. Her voice was different now. Scared. Young. Real. Ghost 11, I'm the only one left. They're coming for my position. Emma's voice was steady, even though her hands weren't. How long can you hold? Maybe 30 minutes. Maybe less. Convoy status, 1 hour and 12 minutes out. 42 minutes short. Emma did the math. The refugees would die. The mission would fail, unless Jessica held for 42 minutes longer than possible. Ghost 11, you need to hold for 1 hour 12. I can't. There's too many of them. Yes, you can. You've trained for this. You know what to do. Emma, I'm scared. It was the first time Jessica had called her by name. The first time the professional distance had broken. I know. So was I. But you hold anyway. Not because you're brave. Because the mission requires it. I don't want to die alone. You're not alone. I'm right here. I'll stay on comms until the end. Jessica's breathing was ragged. Okay. Okay. I can do this. I know you can. For the next hour, Emma listened to Jessica fight, listened to her fire rounds, reload, fire again, listened to her cry, scream, beg, but never retreat, never quit. At hour 8 and 57 minutes, Jessica's voice was barely a whisper. Convoy's almost there. 15 minutes. You're doing good, Ghost 11. Stay with me. They're at the door. I can hear them. Arm the detonator. Already done. Good girl. Emma. Yeah. Will anyone know? Will anyone remember? I will. Every day, I promise. That's enough. Jessica's voice broke. That's enough. At hour 9 and 11 minutes, convoy has entered the camp. Refugees are evacuating. How many out? First wave is moving. Maybe 1,000 so far. You need to hold. I know. The sound of an explosion. Jessica screamed. They breached. They're inside. Detonate when ready. Ghost 11. Not yet. More refugees need out. Jessica, detonate now. No. Another 5 minutes, please. Emma's voice cracked. You'll die. I'm already dead. 5 more minutes saves another 1,000. Victor was crying beside Emma. First time she'd ever seen it. For 5 minutes, Jessica fought in hand-to-hand combat. Emma heard every punch, every scream, every moment of a 25-year-old girl fighting 30 soldiers alone. At hour 9 and 16 minutes, convoy reports 3,000 evacuated, 1,000 remaining. Jessica's voice was broken, gasping. That's enough. That's good. Jessica, tell my sister I love her. Tell her I finally found something real. I will. And Emma, thank you for teaching me what matters. Jessica, no. The explosion cut through the comms like a scream, then silence. Emma sat frozen, headset still on, mic still live, listening to nothing. Victor pulled the headset off her gently. It's done. No. Devin's still alive, still in the hot zone, still. His comms died 2 hours ago. He's gone, Emma. They're all gone. Emma stood. Walked out of the monitoring station, into the hallway, into the bathroom, locked the door, and screamed until her throat was raw, until she couldn't breathe, until the weight of 13 more deaths crushed what was left of her soul. When she finally stopped, she looked at herself in the mirror, saw Ghost 7, saw the survivor, saw the woman who kept sending people to die. She pulled out the pill bottle, took 4, then 4 more, then the rest. Victor found her 20 minutes later, unconscious, breathing shallow. Pills scattered on the floor. He called for medical, rode with her to the hospital, sat beside her while they pumped her stomach, while they stabilized her, while they asked if it was intentional. He lied and said no. 3 days later, Emma woke up in a hospital bed. Victor was still there. You tried to quit, he said quietly. I succeeded. They brought me back. Why'd you do it? Because I can't keep adding stars. Can't keep sending people to die. Can't keep surviving when everyone else doesn't. Emma's voice was hollow. 25 deaths, Victor. 25 soldiers dead because I chose them, because I trained them, because I sent them into hell. You saved millions. I killed 25. You completed the mission. I destroyed myself doing it. Victor leaned forward. Then stop. Walk away. Tell them you're done. No more Death Brigade. No more selections. No more stars. Emma looked at him. And when Death Brigade 15 is needed, when the next mission comes, When someone has to choose 13 more soldiers to die, who does it? Someone else. Someone who doesn't know what it costs. Someone who'll send them in unprepared. Someone who'll waste their deaths for nothing. Emma's hands shook. I can't stop, because stopping means the next selector does it wrong, and I owe my 25 better than that. Victor sat back. You're going to die doing this. I know, but not yet, not until I've added 13 more stars, not until I've honored what they gave. She was discharged 4 days later, returned to Fort Thunder, walked into the tattoo parlor off base, and sat down in the chair. 13 more stars, she told the artist. Red, around the skull, make them perfect. The artist worked for 6 hours. Emma didn't flinch, didn't move, just sat there, letting the needle carve monuments into her skin for soldiers who'd never get real ones. When it was done, she looked in the mirror. 25 red stars, 25 deaths, 25 reasons she took too many pills and couldn't sleep. She paid the artist, walked back to base, went to her office. Colonel Patterson was waiting. The mission's being classified beyond recognition, he said. The refugee camp was evacuated. 4,000 lives saved. The nuclear facility was destroyed. 4 weapons-grade devices were never distributed. The enemy took catastrophic losses and scattered. By every measure, it was a complete success. And my team officially died in a training accident. Bad weather, equipment malfunction, closed casket funerals. Their families are receiving flags and letters that say nothing true. Emma nodded. Expected. Standard. Horrible. There's something else. Patterson pulled out a folder. There's talk of forming Death Brigade 15. They want you to select again. Emma looked at the folder, at the mission brief, at the next 13 soldiers who'd need to die for something that mattered. She should say no, should quit, should walk away before she completely broke. Instead, she said, when? 6 months gives you time to recover, to prepare. I don't need 6 months. Emma, I need a purpose. I need to make sure their deaths weren't wasted. I need to make sure the next 13 are ready. She took the folder. 6 months means 6 months of nightmares with nothing to balance them. Give me 3. Patterson studied her face, saw the fracture lines, saw the woman held together by duty, and nothing else. 3 months. Then you start evaluations. Good. He left. Emma sat alone in her office, opened the folder. Read the mission brief for Death Brigade 15, different facility, different enemy, different horror, same outcome. 13 soldiers going in. Maybe 1 coming out. Probably none. She pulled out her pill bottle, took 2, knew she'd need 4 more by evening. 8 before bed. 3 more when the nightmares came. But that was okay, because in 3 months she'd start again. She'd find 13 more soldiers worth dying with. She'd train them, break them, reform them, send them to hell prepared. And when they died, she'd add 13 more stars, and she'd keep going, keep selecting, keep sending, keep surviving, until finally, inevitably, 1 mission would be too much. 1 group of deaths would break her completely. One day she'd take too many pills, and Victor wouldn't find her in time. But not today. Not yet. Today, she had 3 months to prepare. 3 months to remember 25 names. 3 months to honor 25 sacrifices. Then she'd do it again. Because that's what Ghost 7 did. That's what the sole survivor became. Not a hero, not a legend. Just a tool that kept working until it broke. And when she finally broke, someone else would take over. Someone else would add the stars. Someone else would carry the weight, because Death Brigade never died. It just went darker, deeper, further into shadows where soldiers became ghosts, and ghosts became myths, and myths became the reason millions of people kept living without ever knowing why. Emma stood, walked to the window, looked out at Fort Thunder, at soldiers training, at life continuing because 25 people had died making sure it could. She touched her back, felt the raised scars of 25 stars, felt the weight they represented. Jake lasted 6 minutes, exactly as predicted. Jessica held for 9 hours and 16 minutes, 42 minutes longer than possible. Saved an extra 1,000 lives doing it. Devon died alone in a radioactive hellscape confirming reactor destruction. Died knowing 37 dead and 4,000 living finally balanced. And Emma kept living, kept breathing, kept carrying their weight. Not because she wanted to, because the mission required it, because someone had to stand in the breach, because ghosts needed someone to remember them even if no one else ever would. 3 months until the next selection. 3 months until 13 more stars. 3 months until she did it all again. Emma pulled out the pill bottle, took 2 more, put it away, went back to her desk, opened the file for Death Brigade 50, and started reading. Somewhere in America, a mother received a flag and a letter about her son dying in a training accident. She'd never know he saved millions, never know he held a breach for 6 perfect minutes, never know his name would be carved on a wall she'd never see. Somewhere else, a sister received a phone and found encrypted videos explaining everything that couldn't be explained. She'd cry for weeks, maybe years, and she'd never be allowed to tell anyone the truth. And somewhere in a radioactive hellscape that didn't officially exist, Devon Chen's body was still holding position, still monitoring, still alone, exactly as ordered, exactly as needed, exactly as Death Brigade demanded. Emma read through the file, made notes, started planning the next selection, started preparing to break 13 more soldiers and reform them into ghosts, because that's what survivors did. They kept going. They kept fighting. They kept standing against the breach so others didn't have to. Death Brigade never died. They just went darker, and Emma Hayes, Ghost 7, sole survivor of Operation Hellgate, would make sure they kept going, kept fighting, kept mattering. Even if it killed her, even if it destroyed her, even if she died with 25 stars on her back and 100 more waiting to be carved. The mission was everything. She was nothing. They were tools, expendable, replaceable, necessary. And that was enough. It had to be, because nothing else remained. Just duty, just mission. Just the endless cycle of selecting soldiers to die so millions could live. Emma closed the file, took 2 more pills, started making calls. 3 months wasn't much time, but it was enough. It had to be. Because Death Brigade 14 was gone, and Death Brigade 15 was waiting. And somewhere in the darkness, 13 more soldiers would volunteer to become ghosts, would train, would break, would die, holding the line. And Emma would be there, adding stars, carrying weight, surviving when she shouldn't, living when she couldn't. Continuing because stopping meant everyone who'd died had died for nothing. That was the deal. That was the cost. That was what Ghost 7 became. Not a hero, just a woman who kept standing long after she should have fallen. who kept breathing long after she wanted to stop, who kept going because the mission required it, and nothing else mattered. Death Brigade never dies. They just go darker. And Emma Hayes would make sure the darkness continued. One star at a time. One mission at a time. One death at a time. Until finally, mercifully, her own darkness came, and she could rest with the 25 who'd gone before her. But not today. Not yet. Today she had work to do, soldiers to select, lives to end so others could continue, stars to add when it was over. That was the job. That was the cost. That was what it meant to be the one who walked out when everyone else stayed behind. You didn't get to quit. You didn't get to rest. You just kept going until you couldn't anymore. And Emma Hayes wasn't done yet.